Hello, I'm Kevin Labuda from Blanchard, Oklahoma, and I'm going to show you how to make a broom. First, I'd like to talk a little bit about this equipment. This belonged to my great-grandfather, and he built it in the 1880s. The material that we'll use to make a broom is called broom corn, and this is what it looks like. It's not really corn, it looks like corn in the field, but it's a sorghum grass. And it doesn't make any ears, it makes these little seeds. So this has to be thrashed and then cut off in order to make a broom. Now to start a broom, we'll put a handle into the broom winding machine and we'll connect up wire to it. And this wire will be what holds the corn on the handle. Okay, I'll start by taking a handful of loose corn and we will wind it on the handle. You can see it's operated with my foot, so I have both hands free. This is called the broom hammer. We use the broom hammer to hammer the wire down into the corn. And that makes it on the handle good and tight. Okay. Then we'll take another clump of broom corn and we'll split it in half and we'll start building the shoulders. We're making a flat broom, so we're going to make some flat shoulders. Alright, just like that. Now, that's the first two layers. The third layer is called the turnover layer. Take another handful, we split it. We're going to put this layer on backwards. Just like this. Then we're going to take a knife and we're going to trim it. Keep these ends from showing. Right now, a lot of people drive a staple at this point, but I don't use staples. Just because some people make them differently than me doesn't mean they're not making them right. Now we take this layer and we turn it over. That's why we call it the turnover layer. We'll take a strap and hold it down here. Now what the turnover layer does for me is it makes a nice broad shoulder with half the amount of corn. See, it's kind of hollow inside. It saved me about a half a pound of broom corn that way. Now we'll take the broom knife, we'll trim it off. Okay. Now we're going to take another layer, take another handful, split it in half, and we're going to put a cover layer over this turnover layer to keep building a shoulder. Just like that. Trim it one more time. Okay, now we're ready for the final layer. And I usually use a corn that I've dyed different colors. I use a little red, a little green, whatever colors I have. And just to make it pretty, I use RIT dye out of the grocery store, what you would tie-dye a shirt with. We'll put the final layer on. It's the only layer we have to be careful with to make sure that we cover all the layers underneath it. Some people put this on in 2 layers, but I just usually use 1. Alright. Now see, it's starting to look a little bit like a broom. Okay, now I'm going to make a decorative skip here in the wire. I'm going to pull up some broom corn I'm going to put the wire underneath it and make a little bit of a skip here. If you'll examine your broom at home, you'll find that most brooms have a skip, at least one, sometimes two. Not really for decoration, that just saved me about 18 inches of wire. It's sort of an economy measure. Now we'll carefully trim off the excess on a slant here. Now we're going to make a wire cone and finish the broom by driving a nail. If you get this angle just right, you could make this wind just like a bobbin on your sewing machine. We're finished winding the broom, and we're going to take a nail. We're going to drive it with the flat part of the broom hammer. Take a loop of wire around it. Drive it, bend it to break it off, and we're done. Now the only problem is we're only half finished. What we have to do is sew the broom now. So we're going to take it over to the broom press. We're going to put it inside, and the broom press is going to smash it flat. Then we'll take a broom needle and sew it. Now some people use a double-sided needle. I prefer to use my great-grandfather's needle. We'll just start by going through, take a couple of loops around the broom, and we'll get ready to sew here. We're going to use just a simple over and under technique. We're going to come over it on one side and go back underneath, just like so. It's really pretty simple. It just takes a while to do, so while I'm doing it, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my great-grandfather. He was born in Ohio in the 1860s, and he was almost completely blind. And at that time, blind people had to have a trade so that they could support themselves, and blind children were often taught to make brooms. And a blind person can make a broom by feel just as good as you or me. He went off to the Ohio Institute for the Blind and was taught to make brooms, and they gave him plans to build this equipment. I'm sure his father helped him, but he built all this equipment himself. Okay, now I'm going to stitch backwards a few times, just so it doesn't come unraveled. And we'll cut it off and make another round. All right. Okay, now there's only one thing left to do, and that's cut it off. Take the broom knife, cut it off. We'll take the broom comb and we'll comb out any loose pieces or any seeds that are still left on there. There you have it. That's how you make a broom.